What if I told you that the real secret weapon of high achieving entrepreneurs is not how often they say yes, but actually their willingness to say no? That's right. The willingness to say no saves energy and actually frees you up for more rewarding opportunities. In this episode, we'll explore how the power of no is actually a growth mindset approach by successful entrepreneurs. Let's grow. There's a common fear among entrepreneurs that passing up on any opportunity could mean missing out on their one chance for success. Like oftentimes new entrepreneurs are saying yes, 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 yes to everything, really out of fear that if they say no, they might miss that great, wonderful opportunity that is their big break. But actually, this leads to overwhelm. And that willingness to say yes out of that, mindset, saying yes essentially out of fear, saying yes because, well, if I say no, I might miss my big break and miss my big opportunity, is actually a scarcity consciousness. It actually reflects a fixed mindset that only this opportunity will be the one. And so as a result of that the value of saying no, it turns out, can actually lead to strategic focus, resource or energy allocation, as well as a focus more on quality than quantity. So as we explore this throughout this episode, what I want you to really be mindful of is what are the reasons or what's the thinking that leads to the yeses that you give. And in those moments when you really want to say no, what keeps you from doing so? Like, have you ever had that experience where you really wanted to say no, but you said yes? Right? We've all been there, particularly as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs. We've been in that spot, and it leads to overwhelm. It leads to exhaustion. It leads to feelings of actual inadequacy. And so that unwillingness to say no, or the constant agreeing to opportunity, actually leaves us depleted and out of energy. So how then do we manage the conversations where no is actually the complete sentence, where no is actually the final answer? And how can you do so without being fearful that no actually blocks opportunity or is perhaps blocking your big break? There's evidence that we can point to that suggests that saying no more often actually is evidence of a strategic focus. When you're saying no to certain opportunities, it's more likely that you're clear about what your purpose, your strategy, and your approach is. Your willingness to say no actually becomes more attractive to high achievers because in essence, you're saying that here's where I'm going, here's where I'm going to be, this is what I'm doing, and my purpose is clear. I have found that the more clear you are about what your purpose is, the more clear you are about your objective, then the easier the no becomes. When you get clear about your purpose, then decision-making becomes easier because it becomes really simple. Does this opportunity move me closer to, or does it move me further away from my ultimate purpose? This is a very, very important understanding. It's also about resource allocation. Like, we understand intellectually that we can't do it all. So then why do we attempt to? Why is there the attempt to say yes to everything, to do it all, when we understand, at least intellectually or theoretically, that we cannot? And so it is scarcity, okay, right? Because we deplete ourselves and don't show up fully. And our resources are oftentimes, and when I say resources, I'm specifically talking about clear thought, energy, creativity, you being at your best health-wise. We're actually, because we're spread so thin and depleted so much, we actually show up, we present a version of ourselves that is not who we ultimately desire to be and how we want to show up. So by saying no, you actually start to conserve energy. By saying no, you actually promote a more effective you that shows up in the spaces where you determine that it's time for you to be. So resource allocation is very important and actually is produced through our willingness to say no more often. As well, it is about quality over quantity. Quality over quantity, right? And so it's, I learned this, believe it or not, from Richard Roundtree. Yes, the Richard Roundtree shaft. Okay, we were in the Omni Hotel. It was during the Trumpet Awards in Atlanta, Georgia, and I happened to be at the bar when he was there. And as people started to fill in, we actually got to enjoy conversation for more than an hour. And about, I would say right at about an hour, he said, and people started to fill in everywhere. And he looks at me and he says, "Now here's the thing." He said, never be the last one to leave the club. I'm like, okay. He said, yeah, don't be the last one to leave. And I was like, well, why not? He said, because if you hang out too long, or if you hang out too long and you're always being seen, then it speaks of desperation. I'm telling you, I learned that from Richard Roundtree. He said it speaks of desperation. I have taken that and applied it to many areas of my life where I am determined not to always be accessible. I don't just answer my phone because it rings. I don't immediately respond to every message or email that I get, right? Because I don't want to suggest that I am easily accessible and always reachable. Okay. And as it relates to opportunities, there are times when actually, a date may be open on the calendar when I say no, or I forego the opportunity, because there's something to be said about a person who is willing to conserve energy, and about an individual who doesn't have a desire to always be out front, to always be seen, to always be accessible. Okay. So by saying no, you actually have more time now to exercise discernment. Okay. And be more strategic in or about the places where you're seen, noticed, and recognized. So saying no does essentially three things. It conveys a strategic focus. So it suggests that you're clear about what your purpose is. It also speaks to resource allocation. If you intellectually understand, theoretically know that you can't do it all, then it would make sense that you would do the things necessary to conserve your energy and share your energy, your gift, your skill in the places where it's going to be most conducive to your growth and expansion, as well as solving the problems of those who are, making the request. So resource allocation, and then also it's about quality over quantity. It's not about do everything I can do everything that's available, but where are the places that you want to specialize, okay? So it's actually where I was looking for a moment ago, specialization, okay? So being one who is dialed in a particular area of focus. I often say to clients, like, if everybody is your customer, you don't have a customer. I learned that from a speech coach who said, Courtland, if you emphasize everything, then nothing gets emphasized. Make sense? So if you're emphasizing everything, nothing gets emphasized. Likewise, if everybody is your customer, you don't have a customer, because we cannot do what's necessary to appeal to everyone. So make it a practice to be willing to say no, versus that early on, naive entrepreneur approach that I must say yes to every single opportunity, because by saying no, I might miss my big break. That is actually scarcity thinking, that's scarcity consciousness, and speaks to even a fixed mindset. So we want to be mindful of that. right? So there's evidence, though. There's evidence of saying no being a growth mindset in really three particular areas. One is you learn to prioritize. So when you have a growth mindset, you're constantly learning, and one of the things that you begin to learn by saying no is you learn to prioritize. Right? Is it consistent with my purpose? Is it consistent with my mission? Does this get me closer to or further away from where I desire to be? And as you're starting out, and or as an entrepreneur, right, a lot of things that you may be saying no to are things that you were once comfortable doing. So it may be friends and acquaintances that you're saying no to. It may be the social, aspects of your life that you begin to say no to. Perhaps it's the entertainment of your life, be it television, concerts, hanging out. Maybe those are the things that you begin to say no to because you're clear about your purpose. You know what you want to create. You're serious about creating it, and that becomes more of the priority for you. I have definitely been one who's like, man, it can't always be about business. It can't always be about, taking things seriously. And there is an element of truth to that. I tend to agree, but it can be all about that until I reach my goal. Does that make sense? Okay, so a person says, well, it can't be about all work, all work, no play, can't have. Well, perhaps that's true, but at least as I have determined it, I'm willing to do what's necessary now so that a lifestyle can produce the opportunities for me to do, more leisurely things in a more enjoyable way. Does that make sense? So it's my view that oftentimes we're looking to party too soon before the work is done. We want the ease before the work. Okay, so yes, some truth to that. Okay, but right now may not be recess. Okay, there's some benefits to recess. There's a reason why the kids go out to play while in the midst of learning. I get that, and it may be for you that right now is not the time for that. So you know that it's coming, right? And perhaps a certain goal or reaching a certain milestone or mark will be a place or a time when you go out and begin to celebrate. So one, you learn to prioritize, and that's growth mindset initiative, okay? So saying no is actually evidence of a growth mindset because you learn to prioritize. You also start to embrace your challenges selectively, right? When you are in the entrepreneurial journey, right, saying no actually empowers you to choose your battles. It allows you to embrace your challenges selectively. What we know to be true is that none of us gets exonerated from challenge, adversity, obstacle, setback. None of us get to go without those things. But we can't have it be that everything is a challenge, everything is adversity, everything is difficult. We don't have the willpower or the energy to sustain that. So by saying no, you limit some of the challenges that are coming. Okay, we know that challenge is inevitable, but you start to limit it. Okay, you start to limit the challenges that come when you're more selective about which challenges you're going to embrace. I have often said that it's not a problem for you until you decide to take ownership. Okay, until you decide to take ownership, it's just a situation. It's just a circumstance. When you decide to take ownership of it, that means that you're willing to do something to change that reality. Okay, when you're willing to do something about changing a current reality, now it's a problem that you are in pursuit of solving, and obviously we can't do that for everything. So saying no allows you to embrace selectively which challenges you're going to take on because it just makes sense that you're not able to do it all. So growth mindset is evidence in your saying no, because again, you can embrace challenge selectively, you're able to learn to prioritize, and then also you're adapting and evolving. When you get to the place that you're willing to say no, particularly when saying no may not be the popular thing, particularly when you're saying no may not be, met with a lot of fanfare. Maybe they're not going to be throwing confetti for you when you start to say no. Because here's the thing. There are individuals who are comfortable with you where you are currently. So when you decide that you're going to change, when you are serious about transformation, it actually produces change for them also. They're used to you in a particular way. Now you've gotten serious about building a business. You've gotten serious about, being a principal. You've gotten serious about leveling up your life. You've gotten serious about increasing your income. You've decided that you want to make your yearly income your monthly income, and you're committed to that. You're creatively obsessed with that. Well, guess what? Not everyone will embrace this newfound you, because when you go get it, or when you're going after it, it actually is it provides a level of introspection for them, because they now have to question, well, why am I not? And they have, if particularly early on, there may be a number of justifications and reasons why they're not that serious, and why it doesn't take all that, and why you are doing too much, and they have this why you have this creative obsession. They may be saying you're crazy, but actually you're being compelled or propelled by a vision and a purpose that is bigger than you. And so you have to learn then to adapt and to evolve, which means you may transform or transmute. And as a result of that, you no longer fit the place or places where you've been. That's growth. That is evidence of growth and expansion. And you show the willingness to say no does also reflect an entrepreneur's ability to adapt to strategies that actually hone in and focus on the outcomes that they truly want. It becomes more important for you to get your dream than to be liked. Is there anything more exhausting than to have a need to be liked and accepted by every person? That's got to be exhausting. Why? Because everyone doesn't like or appreciate the same things. So here are a few things to remember. First and foremost, no is a complete sentence, and you have the right to give it or to say it. It is also true that saying no can actually be evidence of a growth mindset. Saying no can be evidence of abundance thinking, because you're not stuck in this idea or notion or scarcity consciousness that this opportunity is the only opportunity that I'll have. Now, recognize that you saying no, right? There's always those who want to listen. They have the hypotheticals, and what about this and what about that? And I won't take a lot of time on that, because it's clear, at least for me, that your willingness to say no is not built around what mood you're in or what you feel like doing on a particular day. Obviously, like, we're beyond that. Okay, you're listening to this podcast, we're beyond that. I don't have to go into depth explaining the differences or the distinctions there. We're beyond that. This is not about what I feel like doing. It's not about what I'm in the mood to do. It's not about if I'm motivated to do what I've committed to today. That's not what I'm talking about. Clearly, if success were only built by you working on the days when you felt like doing it, then not a whole lot will get done. Those days when you don't feel like doing it, right? I had one this morning when it came to getting out to the gym. If there was a morning where I could have definitely stayed in bed, it was this morning, guaranteed. But at the end of it, there was a sense of empowered inspiration, knowing that I didn't take a loss, I didn't take an L to my mindset, I didn't lose to myself this morning. So clearly, right, we're not talking about going only if you feel like doing it, going only if you are in the mood for it. So saying no isn't about I don't want to do the work. It's more about being being discriminate about where you give your time and who you give your energy to, and who or what you give your energy and time to, because you recognize that you're all energy. We all are energy, and everything in your life is an expression of your energy. Okay, it's an expression of energy. So your relationship is an expression of energy. Your business is an expression of energy. Your health is an expression of energy. It's all an expression of energy. And so you have reserves of energy, but you also have energy leaks. And so it may be that you don't have the energy to do the things that you really want to do. You don't have the energy to do the things that are important to you because you have energy leaks throughout the day through things that don't matter and people that mean you no good. So you got to be willing then to say no versus say yes to every opportunity that comes because you're fearful of missing your big break. Because everything is energy. And through the perpetual transmutation of energy, we know that thoughts become things. It is not possible for you to miss the opportunity to be remarkable. It is not possible for you to miss your opportunity for greatness. It is not possible for you to miss your opportunity for greater achievement if you're willing to do the work. If you're willing to do the work, because no one outside of you can determine that. That is formulation, creation, manifestation by you. And so the idea that you have to say yes to everything is actually a fixed mindset. And you display growth, expansion, maturity through your willingness to say no. I hope that helps. And if it does, don't keep it a secret. Let someone know that this podcast does, in fact, exist. And if this is your first time listening, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and also join my email list at courtlandwarren.com/opt-in. COURTLANDWARREN.com/opt-in. And that will add you to my email list. Okay. And I prefer to do it that way so that I'm not dependent on the platforms and I'm able to reach you or connect with you directly. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.